basically tell us about yourself. I know that a lot of times when, when you do interviews, they'll be like, okay, tell us about yourself. And you're like, tell you what? Like, what do you
Right.
what do you mean? So just like about where you are right now, what do you do? What are your goals based on where you are right now as it pertains to school and singing and all of that?
Okay. So I am currently a full-time student at Howard University virtually. So that's been its own challenge, but we're really pushing through. I'm a music education major at Howard. This is my third year. And ultimately, my goal is to become the next university choral conductor at Howard University.
Well, come
And
on here.
yes,
Come on here.
thank you. Thank you. Yes, that is my goal. And at the same time, I'd like to pursue a career in gospel music because I want to share the good news of Jesus while teaching students how to be exceptional
Mm,
singers. So
that-
those are my goals.
those are you got them set goals. Cause some people be like, I just want to sing.
I know.
I just want to sing.
It
Um,
took some time and kind of moving around.
right. But it's good to have like clear set goals of what and it's like it's a goal it has a deeper, like deep meaning than I like singing.
Yes.
I want to get on stage and sing somebody's song.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
with that, we see that a lot of people think that worship is about singing songs. They think that it's praise and worship on Sunday morning, it's praise and worship before prayer meeting or whatever the heck that people will be doing throughout the week, because people do different things. Um, so it's
Yes.
like, so with that type of worship, because we do know that that is a type of worship, singing, when did you realize that you could sing? Like, did you have, some people be like, oh my gosh, I was singing in the church choir, and then somebody came to me and asked me to solo. And then some people be like, I was singing in the bathroom, and all my parents was like, oh my goodness, sing for us, baby.
Yes, I had the church route.
Yeah.
So when I was little, I'm a military kid, so I've lived all over the place. I was about 4 years old, and we were stationed in California. We went to West Angeles Church of God in Christ. It was a huge church, and I was really fortunate that at such a young age, I got to be in the children's choir under the direction of Miss Judy McAllister. And I know she is like a big gospel name. And I remember she was walking down the aisle and she just, started a little conversation with me. And I was like, oh. And then she was like, okay, you're going to be an alto. And I'm just kind of, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, that's kind of crazy because
Mhm.
I'm studying the voice right now. And
Right.
it's just like some of those things is hard to hear when you're little. So I'm just wondering, but ever since then, I've kind of held on to I want to be an alto. Like I'm
Yep.
strong in that. Like
Yep.
my goal is to stay an alto. But yes, so that's when I really remember that I started singing was, in that church choir
Mhm.
at 4.
Yeah, that's really how I started singing in the church choir.
Really?
Under the direction of Rhonda L. Smith, who was my mother. Um,
Yes.
so it's like that's kind of how I just really fell in love with singing. And then it's crazy how you were saying she started a conversation with you, and she was like, you know what, you're an alto, because I had an interaction with someone at my job. I think it was the one before this one. I don't remember, but she came up to me and she was like, "Do you sing?" I'm like, maybe, maybe I do a little something. She said,
Maybe.
"You have you have a singing voice." I was like, "But I'm just talking." And she was like, "No, but you can just tell when someone is talking like that they can sing." I was like, "Well, come on here,"
Yes,
because I thought you was psychic or something. Um,
that is so true.
yeah, so that's very very interesting. So when did you realize that this was something that you wanted to pursue? Like, as you mentioned before, you're in college for this entire idea, and it's like, so when did you realize that this is something that you wanted to dedicate your life to, really?
That is an awesome question. I really don't remember the day or the time that it just kind of clicked.
Hmm.
Um, so I talk with my academic advisor a lot, and something that she always would tell me is that you can ask your mother, like, what was something that you always used to do when you were little, like that you could just do naturally. And so I was like, hey, mom, like, what's something that I did naturally? And she told me that I would teach my friends and that I would sing all the time.
Mm,
So I don't know. That was just,
that makes
I
sense.
guess that's when it clicked.
Mm-hmm.
But as I went on, I was like, okay, I want to be a singer and an actress. And then I kind of let the actress thing go. You know, if I get the opportunity, I'll still do it. But I think it's just been something that I've wanted to do for too long for me to remember when, to be
Mhm.
honest.
Right. I mean, and that makes sense, especially since if you had a dream since forever. It's like
Yes.
I don't know, man. It's just like it's just a part of me. It's just it's like who I am.
Yes.
Yeah, and it just flows through me like just freely. Okay, that
Exactly.
makes a lot of sense. So what were like I know that I have had a lot of like I'll get up and I will sing, but the whole standing on somebody's stage in front of people and actually opening my mouth to let correct notes flow out of it is like nerve-wracking to me every single time I do it.
Yes.
Like, does it get any easier, Lord? So what were the like any fears that you had that kind of threatened to stop you from even singing or pursuing your degree?
Oh, that woo, that's real. Okay, so I have a specific example. So going to Howard, people be singing. Like they don't just be,
Right.
singing. They be singing. So a lot of times I'll hear them and I'm like, oh my gosh, like why am I here? And then just hearing people like Tasha Cobbs, like Tamala Mann, these
Yes.
big voices in the gospel industry. And I've never considered myself to have like that belt or to have that heavy, like, full
Yeah.
out blow.
Yeah.
And that was very discouraging for me, especially as I got older. When I was younger, it wasn't so bad because I wasn't stuck in that mindset of comparison. But
Mhm.
as I got older, I started to compare myself to people and just let those negative voices cloud my mind. And so I would just tell my parents, I was like, how am I supposed to get into an industry that has such heavy hitters if
Yes.
I'm not a belter?
Yes.
And my mom, she just always told me, she was like, Faith, your sound is your sound. Like,
Yeah.
not everybody is looking for, those belters. So that's one of the biggest fears that I've dealt with is not having that normal gospel sound per se.
Yeah. That's everything you're saying is just so real because it's like I
Yes.
completely understand that because it's like there are people who are out here that can do runs for days. Okay, they
Yes.
run all over the church without moving their feet, and
Yes.
it's like I can't. I don't. I just sing like that's all I do, and it be real. It's a very pure.
Exactly.
It's a very pure voice.
Yes.
It's not like
Yes.
it's not like
Exactly.
I'm playing a harp out here. I don't know. It's just
Yes. Yes.
it's
I understand,
different.
Chanel.
But I
I
love the way
understand.
you said how your mom was like, your sound is your sound. Like nobody
Yes.
want to have the sound that you have because it's yours and it was given to you for you.
Yes.
And it's like, and that's the
Yes.
sound that some people are going to be looking for and searching for. And that's the sound that people are going to receive. Jesus is from your specific sound that was given to you. And so I love that because that
I
applies to
love it too.
anything really like, and I tell people this all the time, like with this podcast, I was like, everybody has a podcast. Everybody's doing interviews with people. Everybody's talking about something. Everybody always has something to say about something. What would make this different? What would make this better? Like, I
Mm.
understand. And people are like, yeah, but yours would be yours. It's not somebody else.
Yes.
Not whatever you have to say is not going to be what somebody else says. And if they say it, you might say it in a different way that somebody else gets it. It's not a cookie cutter type of experience. And I was like, you know what?
Exactly.
I'm gonna have to remind myself of this every single day. But instead of having the whole paragraph that they said, I'm gonna put your sound is your sound in my room.
Yes.
Love that. Oh my
Yes.
gosh, I love that. Your
Yes.
sound is your sound, no matter what it is. Your sound is your sound. That is so good.
Yes.
Okay, so how did you, well,
I'm
I
so
guess,
grateful that she was my influence.
yes, because that, oh man, that's good.
Yeah.
Um, and I guess the next question was, how did you get past those fears? And I guess that was one of them, is talking to your mom and hearing her basically, um, I don't want to say light a fire, but she basically, um, what's the word I'm looking for? She kind of reiterated what was already in you. She kind of solidified
Yes.
and made it like, no, you got this. Like, don't
Yes.
even second guess what you have with all this other, like, yeah, they nice. I mean, they be singing or whatever, but but you can do what you can do, and you do what you do well.
Yes. Yes.
Basically, yeah.
So another thing that is kind of, I'm still in the process of getting past it, most definitely.
Mhm.
But I remember sitting in the car one day and I was like, Lord, like I really want to share your message through gospel music, but I really feel like I do not compare on the same level playing field as some of those heavy hitters. The people who, they say, well, shut the church down when they
Right,
pick up
right.
the mic. And I'm like, Lord, my voice just doesn't sound like theirs. And then a Kirk Franklin song was playing at the time. And I
Mm,
was just thinking, I was like, Kirk Franklin is one of my greatest influences. He is in my top 3 of favorites. And
yeah,
he has one of the most influential voices in the gospel music industry right now.
absolutely.
And he doesn't even sing.
Right.
And I'm like,
He just be yelling at
wow,
you.
if Kirk Franklin has made this much of an impact and an influence in the gospel music industry and he doesn't sing, like,
Yeah,
wow.
right.
Like, my voice doesn't have to sound like everybody else's. I don't have to hoop and holler and jump around. Like, I don't, because everybody's imprint is different and
Right,
that's
right.
okay.
That is absolutely okay. I didn't even think about that either. Like, Kurt Franklin, he don't be. I mean, he had that few songs where he did sing, and I was like, okay, he can hold a little
Yes.
tone. I can see that. Okay,
Yes.
but for the most part,
Yes.
he's not out here singing a whole song and bringing the house down. Um, he's very much a gospel hype person. So basically, when we talk about that, and I wanted to touch on how worship is in reality like our lives. And
Hmm.
I was like, okay, God, so who would be a good person to talk to about this? Of course, there are many people that pops into my mind, but there was one that was like super pressing, and it was you. Because it's like
Oh, that's so kind.
I have seen through Bible study how you have, it's like a radiance of Christ just like
It's
coming off of you. And it's like the love that you show, and it's just, you can just tell when somebody is living their life in true worship and not just talking about it and not just singing random words. It's like a livelihood that they have. And so I was
thank
like,
you.
you know what? She the one.
Thank
She
you.
the
I'm
one.
so honored.
So it's like, okay, so how do you live your life to match that verbal worship? Like, what are some ways that you set your heart and you set your life on worshiping God daily or minutely, if that's word?
Woo, Chanel, these are some excellent questions. Okay. So for the longest, I was one of those who, whenever I heard the word worship, I'm thinking, here I am to worship, like
Mhm.
I'm singing.
Yes.
But then as I've gotten more acclimated in my word, as I've gotten more into just listening and learning from different sermons and things like that, I learned what true worship really is. And that's our day to
Mhm.
day, whatever we can dedicate to God. And honestly, I I don't know. I wish I could tell you. I just try my best when I see somebody discouraged, I try to encourage. If there's any type of light that I can spread, I try my best to do so. But a lot of times, I don't know, it just kind of comes and I'm just like sometimes like when I'm hopping on Bible study, I will be going through it and I'm like,
Mhm.
"Oh God, I can't do this."
Yeah.
But and then as soon as I press that start button, it just jumps and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Whoa, I it's not me."
It's not
I
me.
I
Right.
don't know.
Right. Right.
I don't know. I wish I remember this being how I was for a long time.
Mhm.
So I don't know, but I'm very grateful to have it because I really believe it's a gift.
It is. It definitely is.
But yeah, I hope that answered your question.
It did. It did. Because there's like you said, there's some times when you're like, because some people will be like, oh yeah, well, I know that it's this, but it's honestly a true answer. I mean, other answers are true, don't get me wrong, but it's something that's also telling about your relationship with Christ, where you're like, I ain't got no secrets for you. I don't it just it just happens. I be in the lowest of the low. And then when it's time for me to serve, Christ is serving through me. Like that's
Yeah, it's
just what it
yes, yes,
yeah.
that is exactly yes. Yes.
Yeah. That's one of the most amazing things about kind of walking in your purpose is like you realize and you understand that it's not anything that you can do. I mean, of course you might do some things like you say you stay in your word and things of that nature, but it's you just know that it's nothing off my own strength. It's all of it is just God.
Yes.
Know that it's God because ain't no way that I'll be able to do this on my own.
Exactly. There's absolutely no way. No way.
So what are you some okay, so what would be some specific things that you are working on now to align yourself in true worship? Because I understand, like you said, I don't know how this be happening sometimes, but I know that there are still steps that we try to take to stay in the right position with God in order to allow him to still be able to move through us in worship.
Okay. I think I have an answer.
Okay.
So, especially right now, it has been very, very difficult to remain positive. It has been very difficult to try to like just stay up. So, especially since we started this fast, one of my goals and one of the things I'm fasting from is finding the negative and complaining.
Mhm.
So, in that, I'm trying to dedicate my days, my words to Christ. I want to make sure that what I'm saying isn't something that's negative or going to bring out anything toxic. I want to make sure that what I'm saying is only what I desire for my life and what I want the ears of those listening to desire for their lives.
Mhm.
So, that's one way that I'm working on to posture my heart to be open to positivity, to posture it to be open to good things and things like that.
That's good. That's see, and this is girl, this is what I'm saying. You be slaying me in the spirit because it's easy for like that's the thing is it just sounds like such a simple thing where people are like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna think positive. But the way that you explained why you're doing certain things, and it's like it's not even for self. And it's like it's honestly for the people out there to, and I'm like, if I could be a little less selfish, everything will be all right. So, because it's
It
like,
can be so
we can. Oh Lord Jesus, yeah,
it could be so hard. Trust me.
yeah.
I grew
Especially
up the
trying
only
to
child in the house.
find positive in like every situation. And I know there are some situations where it's like, okay, no, this situation is just bad, but there is something good.
Mhm.
I know that just bad, and I'm gonna just sit here and be like, okay, God, this is bad, but what's your good? Because I know that your good
Exactly.
is here. Please show it to me because I need it. Um,
Please, immediately. Right?
so
Yes, exactly.
is there like any instances in the Bible? This is just a random question that popped in mind. Any instances that's in the Bible that show worship that kind of sticks
Mm.
out to you or carries you through certain, I guess, things that you might go through or certain areas of your life where you're like, you know what, this part of my life is just not going to show any worship because I got some things I want to say, I got some things I want to do. But is there anything, any scenario or any verse or chapter or whatever that's in the Bible that shows worship that you kind of you can think about or you think about it all the time or it kind of helps you just anything.
Okay, I have two answers. I'll go with the first to try to make it quick. Okay.
Nah, girl, you can
So what
give us
comes to
two.
mind?
We need the two. We need it.
Okay. So the first that comes to mind is we actually did this in Bible study. I believe it was 2 or 3 weeks ago,
Mhm.
and it was Psalm chapter 77. When I tell you, when I read that verse, it really, really hit me because I was going through like a pretty intense season of depression. I was feeling unmotivated. Like
Mhm.
I just was like, I can't do this. And it just wasn't feeling like me. And I was just like, So I was reading this Bible plan, and Psalm chapter 77 came in there. And I believe it was written by King David. And it was such a real lament. Like in
Mhm.
that chapter, I don't know if I have ever felt so connected to something in the Bible at that time. And I was like, oh my gosh. And he was just really being honest with God. Like he
Mhm.
was saying, Lord, I don't feel your hand right now. Like you've been good, but I don't feel your hand right now. Like you just feel so distant. But then at the end, although he was being so real and expressive and open with God, at the end of the chapter, he just basically says, but God, you're still good. And I'm
Amen.
still going to worship you. And he's just so authentic, like with his emotions, but then still saying, God, I let this all out, but I want you to know that I'm still here.
Mhm.
Like I still trust you. Like it was so real. And
That is,
I just love it.
yeah.
And when I talk to people who are going through like seasons of depression, just feeling like God's hand isn't there, I've been telling them lately, like, refer to Psalm chapter 77, because I feel like it's something that a lot of us can really look to right now.
That is
And
good.
I think it was a sermon that I was listening to as well that was saying, like, be so real with God, but at the end, still be in like be ready and have a posture to worship and say, Lord,
Amen.
I have said all of this to you in all my realness, but you're still good. And I thank
Mhm.
you for what you did.
Yeah.
So,
That's
yeah. And
good.
then
That is
the
good.
the other one is actually a song that I heard on the radio one time. And it's by I think his name is Maurice Griffith. Yes, it's called Prove Me I'm Yours. Oh my goodness. And the lyrics just say, Lord, make me an example. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. It's like, make me an example to express your power, prove me I'm yours. And
Mhm.
I'm just like, literally, and I'm
Right.
like, Lord, prove me I'm yours. Like,
Yes,
wow.
yes.
Like it's just so real.
Dang, that is good. Oh, geez. I'm gonna have to read. I'm gonna have to listen to the song. I'm gonna have to, oh,
Yes,
Father,
yes, yes.
because
It's some good stuff.
that's so good. Because it's like there's this, and there's a scripture that for some reason I can find so many different things about it that, like, you would read it and be like, that has Chanel, how does that have anything to do with whatever the heck you're talking about right now? But it's always the same scripture. And it's let me see if I, oh Lord, I done wrote it myself. It's
It's okay.
basically it's basically Luke 22:42. I think that's what it is. And it's basically Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, and he's like,
Mm,
if God, like, take this cup from me.
mm. Oh wow.
Then he
Yeah.
says, not my will, but yours be done. And I
Yes.
feel like that fits this. And people are like, what? It fits it. Because it's like that, I feel like that is the ultimate form of worship.
Mm.
When you're like, God, not my will, but yours be done. Not my control, but yours. Not my life, but you living through me. And I think that is the ultimate, oh my goodness, the ultimate form of worship. And I'm just so amazed how that scripture just continuously over and over and over again pops up in my life. And I'm like, well, Lord, am I going to the cross?
I go to the cross. Oh my gosh. I would
I
have had
can't
the
take that.
same thought if that kept popping
Yeah, I was like, I can't take that, because
up.
I was talking about
Woo.
what scriptures bring you comfort, and that one brings me comfort because it's like Jesus was about to go straight up to the cross and die for people who hated him,
Yeah.
and he was like, "Not my will, but yours be done." And it's like that's a comfort in knowing that I trust you, God, enough to be like, I know what's ahead of me, but I'm still going to do it because I know that your will is what's best for me. And it's like I just can't. It's just
Yeah,
amazing. It's just amazing. So that's it. I just wanted to
it
share.
is.
That's that form of worship. And it's like I'm trying to live that every single day, where it's like not my will, but yours. Like the worship of giving over control to God is,
That part.
man, that's it's hard.
It it really is.
Hard. It is
And that it really takes a level of spiritual maturity to not only say it but to mean it. Like,
absolutely.
Lord, that's a hard prayer to pray. Like, your will but not mine.
Mhm.
What? Like,
Yeah,
that's a hard
especially like you
prayer to
said, to
pray.
mean it, like to have it in your
Yeah,
heart to actually mean those words. Child, that is a mission. It
it is.
is a huge mission.